Hey, okay, I think we are live. Hello. Welcome back to Beautifully Bookish Bethany, where I have books, videos about books and the geeky mom lifestyle. It's my birthday. I'm 33 today, and so I wanted to hang out with some of you guys. So thank you to those of you who are coming to join me. I see a couple of people in the comments already. So hi, Books and Baking. Good morning, or well, afternoon. Hi, Jessica. Thank you. So yeah, hopefully this is fun. Hope you guys bring some questions. I have a few things on my agenda of stuff to talk about, and hopefully we can just kind of like have a good time. I have a glass of wine in a glitter wine glass. It says off-duty villain. And I've got some questions that people submitted that we're going to be talking about. And then if you guys have questions in the comments, hey, thank you. So cool to see people here. So if you guys have questions in the comments, maybe be thinking of those, or if you're looking for specific book recommendations, I'm going to be doing some of that. We're going to talk a little bit about some new bookish news. Oh, and my hair. I cut my hair. Somebody, this is funny. Your Jesus' age. That made me laugh. Thank you. I cut my hair. It was really long. I needed a haircut before this all ever started, and I finally just couldn't deal with it anymore. I think I cut off like 6 inches, and it turned out like reasonably well. I'm pretty happy with it. It's like kind of a relief. Hey. Oh yes, the card I was gonna share. My boys made me very adorable birthday cards. Look, like my 6-year-old can actually write his own stuff, not from my husband. It's kind of amazing. So that's fun. And then my 3-year-old is very cute. He made me a little flowers. These are flowers. We're like slowly moving beyond scribbles, so that was really sweet. Anyway, it's been a good day. A little different because we're all home, but it's good. Hi, Jillian. Thanks for coming and hanging out. Okay, so let's kind of get into this. A few things. Oh, thanks. Yeah, they're really cute. Okay, so I have some questions that people had sent in, so I'm going to answer some of those. We're going to talk about books. We're going to talk about some bookish news. Hopefully it'll be fun. Thanks to people who are coming and hanging out with me. It's like a nice way to feel like I'm having a virtual birthday party since I can't have like a live one. Not that I have actual birthday parties that much anymore, but I do usually get out and do things that are a little bit more interesting. Okay, so first question was from Rocket Dino. Asked about my favorite things about being a booktuber or about reviewing books. So favorite things about being a booktuber. I kind of love everything about Booktube. I like the process. I like having a platform to talk about books because I've always been a big reader, and so it's really fun getting to do that. I like filming. I like editing. And I love the friends that I've made. I know a lot of people say this, but the community that I have has been so incredible, and that's been probably one of my favorite things. About reviewing books, one thing that I don't think I expected when I first started doing this, which I've really loved, is it has made me so much more aware of my own taste in books. And the more that I review books, the more I can get a better feeling for like why I like the things I like and why other people like different things, instead of it just being like this book was good, this book was bad, but like why did I like the things in this book? And I think I try to like put that into my reviews. And so that's been kind of a cool thing. Thank you. Thanks for coming and hanging out. So that was the first question. Let me know in the comments if you guys have questions you want to ask, or if you're looking for specific book recommendations. I'll see if I can offer some of those. Lauren Helgerson asked, how has becoming a mother changed your life? I mean, how hasn't it changed my life? Yeah, I mean, becoming a mother definitely changes a lot, especially early on. Everything. I think we were pretty prepared for it, and we'd been married for a while and like knew we wanted to have kids, and it was still like a big transition because they're wonderful, but they need a lot from you. And like, you kind of have to, there's a new normal that you have to adjust to in terms of how much time you have to yourself versus how much time other people need you. But I think it also at least for me, has like helped me become much more empathetic and more like aware of different perspectives on things. I don't know. It's been a positive experience for sure. I will not be having any more children though. Like I love the two that I have, but like they take so much energy. They're wonderful, but like, man, they're a lot of work too. Mm. Okay. The wonderful Bree Hill had a couple of questions that she asked. The first was a lesson I've learned in 33 years. I'm 33 today. What have I learned? I don't know. I mean, I think just like be kind to yourself and to other people. Like don't expect perfection because nobody has that. Like I think that's the thing. Like I think I used to expect perfection, or maybe not perfection, but close enough to it, of myself and of other people. And I think I've learned that that takes up so much time and energy, and it's unnecessary. Like I think we're all growing towards hopefully being something better in different ways, but like expecting perfection of yourself or of other people is only going to stress you out. And so I think that's like a big thing I think I've kind of taken away. And then, okay, like, thank you, Bree, for asking like a hard question. She said, how many books have I rated 5 stars this year so far? And if I could only recommend one for the rest of my life, which one would it be and what sets it apart? Way to make an easy question. Hey, Amanda. Thanks for coming and hanging out. Thank you. Oh man. Okay. So some of you guys who watch my channel know that I have like this weird rating system where I have my 5-star reads, and then I have my 6-star reads in my spreadsheet, which is like my favorites of the year, favorites of all time. So I went and looked through. This year, so far, I've read 124 books. I have given 11 of those 6 stars, and I have given 24 5 stars. So like she asked 5 stars, so I included that here, but for 6 stars, how do you pick? How do you pick one book to recommend for the rest of your life? Like that is so difficult because they have like different things to offer. So this is like my favorites shelf. These are the books that have sort of made that list so far. I mean, I think for like a standalone, In the Dream House by Carmen Maria Machado is amazing. Oh, thank you, Jillian. You love my reading system. Yeah, it works better for me. I think I've talked about before the reasons that I do it that way, but yeah, In the Dream House by Carmen Maria Machado, I think is a fantastic one. That's one that I would for sure recommend. And it's something that you can read by itself and it's not part of a series. But some of these others are really, really great, but they're part of a series. So like, how do you, guys, I don't know. This is very difficult. If you want to see my top 5 books of the first quarter, I do have that video. So maybe check that. That was one of them. I think The Gravity of Us. Okay, not part of the first quarter, but Senlin Ascends by Josiah Bancroft. Is really, really good and really interesting. And it's one that I think is rereadable. That's maybe a thing to think about too. Like if you're recommending a book, rereadability is a big thing because not everything is super rereadable. It wasn't a favorite of this year, but like I have Name of the Wind by Patrick Rothfuss, and that's a good rereadable book. Anyway, I don't know. Bree came up with like a very challenging question. Like that's like as good as I think I'm going to get on that. And then Njeri from Onyx Pages asked, tell us how you read so much. Yeah, this is always kind of the question. Again, I did make a video about this recently, talking about kind of like how to read more if that's something you want to. The truth is like, I have a lot of tips and tricks that I think can help you read more if that's something that you want to do. But also I recognize that I also just like read kind of fast, and I've always sort of been that way. So like that's something that maybe there are people who can teach you how to read faster. I had somebody comment on that video, which I thought was really interesting, asking me if I see pictures or like moving pictures in my head when I read, and was wondering if that contributes to being able to read faster, which I think is a really interesting thought, because I do. It's like a movie playing in my head is kind of what it's like when I'm reading. So when I really get lost in a book, I almost forget I'm reading words on a page, and it's like I'm just like seeing it happen. And so I do wonder if maybe that helps me read faster. I don't know. But the practical things are like audiobooks help a lot. I'm always reading at least 3 books in 3 different formats. I always have an audiobook, a physical book, and an ebook. Hey, Isabella, thank you. So I always have like multiple books going at once. I read across different genres, and like if I'm like feeling slumpy about one book, I can transition to another one. I kind of like put it into my day all the time. Those are like some more practical things. And I don't watch very much TV. Like on average right now, I'm probably watching like an hour of TV a week, which is very low. And I know a lot of people don't want to do that, but like that's part of how. So if you wondered. And okay, I had one other question that somebody submitted ahead of time. And that is from Lori Ann White, who said, do you want to be a writer too? Maybe eventually. I used to write a lot more. Now it's very, very sporadic. I do like writing. I write a lot of reviews. Thanks, guys. Oh, this is interesting. Okay, so with what I was, sorry. The thing went too fast for me. You likely don't say the words in your head, which speeds up reading as well. Yeah. So this is actually, I hadn't thought about this until I watched somebody else's, I think Murphy Napier did a video on reading faster and talked about this. I do say some of them in my head, but I skip over them. Like I don't know, like it's weird. Like I say some of the words in my head, but I don't say every word in my head. Like I do it I kind of read in like chunks, if that makes any sense. I don't know, guys. I'm not an expert on this. Thanks. It's like nice to, I will say in terms of just reading the words faster, listening to audiobooks sped up, I think helps because like I listen to them sped up. Yeah, hopefully that makes sense. So like I listen to audiobooks a little bit sped up. And so I think because of that, I'm used to thinking the words faster. Yeah, I don't know. Sorry, I was like getting distracted. Do I want to be a writer too? Right. Yeah, maybe one day. I think I would love to write more once my kids are both in school, once schools are open again. I do like writing. I used to do a lot of it. Like when I was in college, I wrote some fiction. I used to write I also used to be very angsty and wrote very angsty bad poetry when I was a teenager. So there was that. And I have like a couple projects I kind of work on periodically, but nothing huge. So maybe one day, but for now, I'm really happy reading books and reviewing books. I write a lot of reviews, so I do a lot of that kind of writing. But in terms of my own fiction, I feel like my schedule, it's not enough of a priority for me right now, but maybe one day it's a possibility. You would read that poetry. I'll have to like dig up some of it at some point. I'm sure it was like very angsty and melodramatic. When I read characters, oh, that's interesting. Because you were saying you can't listen to audiobooks. Yeah, so for me it depends. If it's a series that I've been reading, I'm pickier about the narrator, because some narrators don't voice characters the way I imagine. I can get over it to some extent, but if it's really different, then I struggle with it. So yeah, it depends. People are so different in what they can do. Okay, so those were all of the questions that I had ahead of time. If you guys have any questions you want to ask, or if you want to ask for any book recommendations, feel free to do that. We're kind of going to hang out and chat about some stuff. What did I want to tell you? Let me have... Okay, one thing is, I don't know how many of you checked out the Social Distance Book Fest. Okay, we have a question here. But we recently announced that we're doing a series of mini events throughout the year called Bookmarked. So check that out. Our first one is happening this month. One of our creators is doing an interview with Stephen Graham Jones, which is exciting. And we have some very, very cool things coming in the coming months. People wanted more, we're bringing more, and we're probably going to bring the whole thing back again next year as well. So I wanted to announce that. What are my least favorite book tropes? What is my least favorite book trope? The first thing that comes to mind is I really, really hate it when cheating is portrayed as romantic. Like I really, really hate that. I don't love reading about infidelity in general, but like I really hate it when it's portrayed as like, oh, but they're so in love and it's this wonderful love story. And I'm like, no, you're still married. It's not romantic. If it's really that bad of a relationship, you should have ended it first. Anyway, I hate that. It drives me nuts. I always rate books lower for that. Thank you. Thanks for coming and hanging out. So that's definitely like a trope that yeah, someone else agrees. Yeah, that just like bothers me. And it bothers me more now that I'm married. It's always bothered me, but even more so now, I think. I'm so sorry you've been in a reading slump. That's hard. I think a lot of people have been in reading slumps lately. And I think it's understandable given what's happening. The first half of last month, I read so much romance and I struggled to focus on anything else. I just needed books that were like really, really easy to like read, didn't require much of me. So I totally get that. Isabella's Scandal. Oh man. Yeah, I watched the first couple seasons of it and like I get the appeal of it, but also it always really, really bothered me anyway. Like I had such I understand it's got that bingeable quality to it, but like it still bothered me. Yeah. Yeah. I mean it's not my favorite. Are any of my most anticipated books pushed back? Which of them are not pushed back? Like so many books got pushed back, guys. And so they're like, I just finished one that's really good. It was supposed to be out this month. It's now pushed to August, but go check it out. Raybearer by Jordan Ifueko. It's fantastic. I like stayed up till like 1:00 this morning finishing this book and it's so good. It's a really impressive debut. And it is like, it's like African inspired. It does things that I didn't expect. It's got really good world building. It's like one of the best YA. I feel like, I say this, there have been a few really good YA fantasies coming out this year. I feel like YA fantasy is doing pretty well. Like this one is really good. I also just finished reading Lobizona by Romina Garba, which also got pushed back to August. And it's also fantastic. It has Latinx werewolves in it, and it's so smart and deals with big thematic issues, which I always love in books. And it's got some like portal fantasy elements to it. It's super, super great. And so if, to talk about something we're going to talk about later, but if this announcement about Midnight Sun, the new Twilight thing, has you either wanting more werewolves, like excited, if you're excited for it, if you're not excited for it, but if you want to like scratch that werewolf itch, Lobizona, guys, it's very, very good. Yeah, a bunch of us for Social Distance Book Fest were buddy reading Lobizona. You know what? You are fine because I read, like some of us read ahead and some of us like are behind, like, you know what? We all just kind of are reading at our own pace at this point. Hey, Brandy, thank you. Okay, Isabella asks, what are some of the upcoming romance books I'm excited for in summer and fall? Okay, so, oh man, there's like, again, things that keep getting pushed back. I'm excited about the new Beverly Jenkins book that's coming out. I think it was supposed to be in July and it got pushed back, I want to say, or something like that. I need to like figure out where I'm going to pre-order it from because I'm trying to like not do as much with Amazon right now. Support indie bookstores, but why can't I think of the Gilded one? Oh my gosh, I know the Gilded ones got pushed back. It's so sad. It got pushed back for like a year. Like that was a big one. Sorry. Okay, romance. Yeah, Wild Rain. That's what it's called. Why? I swear I silenced my phone, but is it working? No, it's still coming up. I'm sorry for the dings. Let me turn my volume down here. Okay. It's a problem with like iPhones and MacBook computers connecting. But yeah, Wild Rain, the new Alyssa Cole book got pushed back to December, but I'm so excited about it. It's a spin-off of her Reluctant Royal series, which I am kind of obsessed with. So I'm excited for that. Oh, cool. The Roommate. Yeah, I don't know. Like I feel like the ones I'm probably most excited for right now are from authors that I know what I'm getting from them. So like Dani Brown from Talia Hibbert, I'm excited for. Tessa Dare has a new book coming out, which is always a good time. Like her books are just fun. She writes historical romantic comedies like nobody else. They're so good and so fun. But yeah, there's also some like other interesting things. Oh, where is it? I just got as my book of the month club pick this month, The Boyfriend Project by Farah Rochon, which I'm excited to try out, especially because apparently she knows my mother-in-law, which is so random. And I just recently found out last night about another book connection with a real life person. I swear the world is so small, guys. It's really, really bizarre right now. Hey, Mara, thanks for hanging out. Thank you. Oh, yay. Glad you came to say hi. So yeah. Okay, we have some more questions here. Let's see. Do I read sci-fi? I do read some sci-fi. I haven't read Sleeping Giants yet, but I'm actually reading quite a bit of sci-fi, I feel like, in the last little while. What did I just read? Last month, I read a couple that were good, and I just talked about them, and why can't I, like, think? A Memory Called Empire by Arkady Martin was really good, and actually, next week I have a video coming up that I'm excited about, which is like 10 book recommendations of sci-fi books for fantasy readers, so hopefully that'll be helpful for people. So for people who are like intimidated by science fiction, these are my recommendations of like easy entry points to sci-fi. Oh no, Tessa Dare's book got pushed back to February. That's so tragic. Oh man, I did not know that. See, everything's getting pushed back, and it's so sad. Beach Read. I've heard great things about Beach Read. I have not read that one yet. But I've definitely really heard that. Do I like nature writing? I don't know. Like, I can't say I've read that much of it. Probably, like, it's not something I would like gravitate towards, but I wouldn't be opposed to trying it out. Beach Read is super good. Yep. We've got like people saying they liked that. Have I read Illuminae, guys? Okay, yes, I have read Illuminae, and I liked it, but I didn't love it. Like and I see why people do, but there were a couple of like trope things that bugged me. So I feel like I'm in the minority. I thought it was fine. I think I gave it like 3 or 3.5 stars, but I wasn't as big a fan of it. Sorry, as like some people were. Hey, thank you so much. Thanks for popping in and saying hi. I appreciate that. All right. Amanda, yes, fantasy sci-fi. I do too. I really like fantasy sci-fi hybrids. I like that some of them are coming out. I also think there's some really, especially in YA sci-fi, there's some really interesting books that sort of use fantasy tropes, but in a sci-fi setting that I also think could be good entry points for fantasy readers who are like more intimidated by the hard sci-fi. So hopefully that'll be helpful. I think I have like 5 YA books and 5 adult sci-fi books that I recommend. The funny thing that I noticed is I was editing the video and I realized that all of the YA recommendations are like pink or purple covers. I don't know how that happened, but somehow it did, which was kind of funny. Okay. Oh yes, I love people have such mixed feelings about the series, but I love the Good and Evil series. I like ate up the first 3 books and I think they're so smart and interesting. I'm not loving the second trilogy as much as I did the first trilogy, but I am still really liking it a lot. How are the kids? The kids are doing great. They're currently outside with my husband for like an hour so I can do this. And, like we're making it work. It's like, this is challenging, I think, for everybody right now. And so it is what it is. Like, thankfully, my husband has a stable job. He's a professor, so he's working from home. I'm doing stuff from home. We've got a schedule worked out. It's not ideal. Neither of us gets as much time to work as we might like, but like we're doing fine. We're healthy. We're feeling good. It's working out. Hey, thank you. And thank you. Yes, my birthday and Mother's Day are always around the same time. I have not read Big Ship at the Edge of the Universe. I tend not to like books set on ships, so it's probably something that I would see the title of and immediately like not pick up. But if you think you can sell me on it, feel free to do so. Yeah. So if you have any other questions, what else is going on? I feel like this is just a wild time, guys. And like having a birthday and everything is kind of wild. Hey, thank you. Oh, Network Effect. Yes. Oh, that's so exciting. I'm so excited to read Network Effect. I'm so sad I couldn't get to it earlier things have just been so wild lately. Do my kids like to read? They do like to read. I don't know about as much as I do, but like my 6-year-old is really good at reading, and he's getting into it. It's like finding the right books. I think he really likes funny books or like nonfiction, interesting books. So it's like finding the right fit. And the little one doesn't read on his own yet, but he likes reading with me some. Hannah, sci-fi Hannah. Okay. Talk to me about it offline, and I'll look into it. Definitely. That sounds cool. A popular romance novel that everyone seems to hate and forget about, but that I loved. Oh, that's a good question. I don't know. Probably like what I feel like there's a lot of things that are underhyped. Like I'm always pushing Alyssa Cole's books, and they're starting to get a little bit more traction, but I feel like not everybody is as in love with them as I am. The other thing is the Parasol Protectorate series by Gail Carriger starts with Solace. They're so good. They came out a while back, and they're sort of steampunky, but they're funny. And she just has this really quirky writing tone that works for me. And I think more people should read her stuff. I think they're great. Any shows that I'm watching or rewatching. So like I said, I'm not watching large amounts of television right now, but I am watching a little bit. So what am I watching? Finished The Witcher, which was great. We are watching The Walking Dead, slowly making our way through that, like that. Also the Marvelous Mrs. Maisel, which is like an Amazon original show, is hilarious. I love it so much. It's like comfort watching for me. So I really enjoy that. And Queer Eye. I mean, like if I need a happy show that will make me feel good about life, Queer Eye is kind of what I will go for. Hey, Cammie. Thanks. Thank you. I'm so glad I'm really happy with how it turned out. It was so frustrating. My hair was I think I cut off like 6 inches, and you can see it's still not short. Like it just really, it needed, it was like giving me headaches when I put it up. It needed to go, because Lord knows when the salons are going to open again. All right. What else? Oh man, you guys have so many good questions. Okay. Let's see. Which cutesy and fun YA romance novels would I recommend to fans of The Big Bang Theory and Stranger Things? A Geekerella series by Ashley Poston, for sure. It's, if you like geeky, like convention stuff, like they make me laugh, and I think they're super adorable. I really, really like them. I think they're fun. Favorite childhood book, chapter and picture book, and have I read any of them to my kids? Oh, interesting. So in terms of like board books, I think a childhood classic that I definitely have and read to my kids is Goodnight Moon. I mean, like it's a classic. I grew up with it. So that we for sure have. And like some Dr. Seuss stuff. I have things that I would like to read to them once they're a little older. So like the Harry Potter books, I've been buying the illustrated Harry Potters, and I think once they're a little bit older, that will be really, really fun to read with them. And again, once they're a little older and like can read more, like the Chronicles of Narnia were really huge for me. I know my parents got me a set of them, which I still have, and they are in horrible condition, but I still have them for my 7th birthday. And I loved them and read them and reread them so much. They were like my introduction to fantasy. And so those are just like meaningful, I think. But yeah, that's a good question. I feel like I probably have some other answers to that, but nothing that's like coming to mind immediately. Time of Our Lives. Yeah, I'm actually this week planning on reading my first book by them for a reading vlog I'm doing, if I'm being honest. Sneak peek there. I've heard great things. I own 2 of their books, and I'm excited to finally get to them, because I know they're really popular for YA romance. And I think they're married. They're like a couple, so they were engaged when they wrote some of these books. I've heard great things. This one, if I'm being honest, is a retelling of Taming of the Shrew, which sounds super fun. I've heard really, really great things about it. So yeah. Okay. So what other things did I want to see? Okay, a couple of things. One is warm. If you guys are looking for specific types of book recommendations, feel free to throw that at me. Like if you have like specific things you're looking for. I think that could be interesting. And the other thing I wanted to talk about while we're on here is the big news about Midnight Sun, because I feel like this is kind of taking over the internet right now. And I think it's really interesting, and I kind of want to talk about it because it's such a complicated issue. Okay, so Twilight, I started reading Twilight, I want to say when the second book was out or something. I need to look up when they were actually published. Maybe the first 3 were out. I was like 20-ish, like early 20s, maybe. And so I wasn't like super, super young when I started reading them, but I had an interesting relationship with them. I blew through them. I never liked book 4. Like, I did not like the way that it wrapped up at all. But there were reasons that I really liked the earlier books in the series, especially the second one. And I think because I deal with anxiety, and not as much now, but I've dealt with depression in the past, and OT. Yeah, here's the T. And the way that they depicted Bella dealing with depression in those books felt very, very relevant to my own experience of it. And so I think like I connected with it a lot on that level. Like, I think that was what it was like for me as a teenager going through that. I did not like the way they wrapped things up. I was always Team Jacob. And not because of the movies. I read the books before the movies. I think I just always was like, he's her best friend and he's so much better. Why would you want Edward? And clearly I am in the minority. But yeah, it's interesting. And I see the problems with it. Like, I see the problems with, people are like, Team Edward. Excited about Edward's story. I'm very curious to see what she's going to do with it. Is really what it is, because I don't know. This is exactly it. I'm excited too to see what she's going to do with his side of the story. She has said that it's going to be much darker. She said that this is like 13 years later. She's a different person. She's a different writer. And, I'm interested to see where she takes it, like, because there were definitely some toxic elements to that relationship. And the angst worked for me at that age because, like I said, I was a very angsty teenager and young person. I'm much less angsty now, but I used to be. So this is why I have so much patience for angsty characters, and why I was like, I understand teens can be angsty. I was angsty. Grown-ups, I have much less patience for in books. Team Jacob. Yeah, I was definitely Team Jacob. I mean, I married like one of my best friends. Like, I'm not here for like toxic, unevenly balanced power dynamics in relationships. And so it was like not my favorite thing. Interesting. Yeah. So somebody else loved Jacob. I know people are so split on this, and I get it. So, and for those who don't know the background on Midnight Sun, it was something that she was working on like more than a decade ago, and somebody leaked the first few chapters of it. And so she basically was like, forget it. I'm not writing it. And a lot of people thought it was like never going to happen. Now it is. Team Carlisle. Hey, I can get behind Team Carlisle. So all of this to say, I do not still own the Twilight series, but I did go ahead and order the copy of the first book. I am planning on doing a reread, and I am planning on vlogging it. And I'm very curious to see how it goes, because even the first time I read it, I saw why some of it was problematic, and even more so now. And I know there are some like issues with racism that people talk about. So I think we have to acknowledge that even if it's something we loved, or even it's something that connected with us in some way, that you can stand in that awkward tension of liking a thing that isn't perfect and that has some issues. Buddy read. Hey, you know what? So I've had a few requests for a read along. So if you guys would be interested in that, let me know. There's so many people doing read alongs right now for it, but I could do another one. Started in middle school. Yeah, I think it just depends. Like, it's not something that works for everybody. I have a connection to parts of it, and I'm curious to see what it's like rereading it like however many years later. So I'm going to do it, and so we'll see how it goes. her use of the term albino. Yeah, I don't remember this so much, but I'm sure there are things that are issues. Same, like it's interesting going back and reading stuff that really spoke to me when I was younger, because I was such a different person in so many different ways. And so like as a 33-year-old now, like what is that like to go back and read it? I can still remember the first time I rewatched, because I grew up watching a lot of musicals like The Sound of Music, and I can still remember the first time I went back and rewatched The Sound of Music in my mid-20s, and it had been a while since I had seen it. And I remember when I was young, I always like thought Liesel's story, the 16-year-old, was like super romantic. And I was like, oh, to be 16, it's so old. And then I watched it and I was like, this is so dumb. Maria and the captain are where it's at. Like, it's just interesting how it changes the older you get. Try hard read along. Hey, you know, if people want it, we could do a try hard read along. It could be interesting. Yeah, that is wild. 9. Oh my goodness. Except New Moon. Oh my gosh. So funny. Beth says she hasn't read Twilight. I mean, it's an experience. It was it was a juggernaut in society. It's a touchstone. So, I mean, it's one of those things that's interesting to read and think about it. Come on. Okay. Oh, take care of the kittens. They're so cute. Thanks, Mara. Thanks for hanging out. They're really, really adorable. Oh, yes. Oh, this is a big question. Yeah, guys, like, look, there are, I don't know if you guys have read, I haven't read up a ton on the news, and part of it is like for anxiety reasons. I limit how much of it I consume, but yeah, I mean, this is not the first time stuff like this has happened, and it continues to be a problem that we need to talk about. Like, what do you even do in the middle of a pandemic? Like, how do you actively protest or resist something like that? Like a big, not to like, those are some big questions. I think that what's happening now is uncovering or bringing to the surface a lot of things that have existed for a while, and I'm curious to see what happens when everything's said and done. I think we're gonna have to deal with. Yeah. Okay. Let's move on to something a little bit later. Yeah, worried about rereading favorite books. Yes, it is interesting. So I did this project a couple of years ago because when I was a teenager, I read a lot of like Christian romance, and then went back and reread it, and I was like, wow, this has so many misogynistic like problems with gender, and like that was a really interesting project. It's interesting to go back and reread things later on. Also, yeah, midnight release events, same. My parents no, that was not a thing. I also didn't get to buy. This is probably part of why I love getting to be able to buy hardcovers and like new books now, because growing up, I couldn't do that. Like, we couldn't afford that. I used the heck out of my library, and then for like birthdays and stuff, I would get a couple of books, but yeah, that was not an option for me when I was growing up. So I did not get to go to midnight release events either. So that would have been pretty cool. Okay, recommendations for YA fantasy. Sure, tell me more, I guess, about what you like. I think there's a lot of good stuff. Well, I'll name a couple of things that I've read recently. I mentioned this earlier. Ray Bearer by Jordan Fueko is coming out in August. It's fantastic. It's really interesting. It's about a girl who is magically compelled to kill the prince that she's also supposed to like fall in love with. I'll leave it at that. It's like African inspired. It's really smart. It's got really great world building. Loved this. I also mentioned earlier Lobizona by Romina Garber, which has Latinx werewolves and some portal fantasy, and it's really smart. Deals with illegal immigration. Really fantastic. There's a lot of really great YA fantasy stuff out there, but yeah, if you're looking for specific things, let me know. The same kind of romance like Radiance. Oh, that's a good question. So my friend Leanna's library, that is like her favorite romance thing. She made me read it, and it's great. Yeah, I mean, I think the thing about this is you're looking for something that's got a lot of external conflict to the romance. So it's not about the couple. The couple is like a slow burn kind of friends to lovers. That is a great question. Let me think on that. Like what let me look at my shelves. Like what recommendations? It's hard because there aren't a ton of books that do that exactly like Radiance, but if I think of something specific, I will let you know. What else do we have? Am I still? Yes, I'm still reading the Truth Witch series. I mean, you can see I have all of them in US and UK hardcovers. I'm caught up, and the next book is coming out next year. So yes, I'm definitely still reading them. They're great. Yes, Radiance is really, really good. Favorite arc of the spring so far? Oh, that's tricky. Definitely near the top of the list is this beauty, also pushed back to August, Where Dreams Descend by Janella Angelis. Really, really good. The cover is really, really beautiful, but it's like inspired by Moulin Rouge and Phantom of the Opera. It's like talk about angsty teenagers and like melodrama. It's great. It's a whole lot of fun. Really liked that. Okay, so this is a good question. In terms of historical romance, the meaning of the word rake. Yes. So a rake is basically like a historical playboy. That's basically what it is. It's a guy who kind of gets around with the ladies. That's basically, yeah, it's a historical Regency term for a playboy. That's pretty much it. Yeah. Oh, UK paperbacks. Oh, man, Jessica, you are like the true fangirl. I have one of the the UK paperbacks. What is my current read? Okay, so like I said, I'm always in the middle of at least 3 books. I always have a physical book, an ebook, and an audiobook. So physical book I just started. 1 second. I am reading Rakes and Roses by Josie S. Kilpack. This is a historical romance. It's funny, speaking of like Christian romances, this reminds me a lot of those, except a lot less misogynistic. And so that's good. So I'm liking that. I am also listening to a novella by Courtney Milan called A Kiss for Midwinter, which is like a holiday romance. It's great. I'm really enjoying that. And then I'm not far into it yet, but my current ebook is Real Men Knit by Kawana Jackson. I'm not super sucked in yet, but I'm only a couple chapters in, so hopefully it'll pick up. We'll see. Okay, let's see what else. Arcs I'm most excited to read. Oh, goodness gracious. Network Effect by Martha Wells, which I have been wanting to read so much, and then things keep getting in the way. I'm also very excited for Harrow the Ninth by Tamsin Muir. Those are some of my like physical ones that I'm probably most excited. Oh, and Bookish and the Beast, which is the 3rd Geekerella book by Ashley Poston. Like, very excited for those. Those are probably like top of my list in terms of physical arcs. Let me just pull up my NetGalley and I'll tell you what some of my I have like a lot of arcs right now, you guys. A lot of these I'm really excited for. Like, how do I narrow it down? Burn Our Bodies Down by Rory Power I'm really interested in. I'm curious to see how it is. I wasn't interested in Wilder Girls. Like, body horror is not so much my thing, but that one sounds really interesting. So I'm curious to see how I feel about it. Cinderella is Dead sounds by Kaylin Barron also sounds really interesting. It's kind of a retelling of like the world of Cinderella, but with like queer characters. So that one I think is really like is intriguing. What else? Court of Lions by Samaya Dowd. It's a sequel to Mirage that we're finally getting. So I just got approved for that, which is really exciting. Oh, and I Come With Knives by S.A. Hunt, which is the follow-up to her indie debut, which is Burn the Dark, which I loved. It's like a horror paranormal mashup with a punk YouTuber who hunts evil witches. It's great. So I'm excited for that. Those are probably among the tops. Hi, Gabriella. Thank you. Awesome. Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm sorry about your mom. Yeah, that's really sweet. I mean, I love the idea of that. I do sometimes have more that I'll be in the middle of reading, but it's usually at least 3. It helps me being able to switch between different modes or types of reading. Yeah, Cinderella is Dead looks really good, so I'm excited to pick that one up. That one sounds really interesting. Uh, Crescent City. Yeah, Crescent City is great. All the witch books. Yeah, I have another witch book on my TBR, like an e-arc of it that looks really interesting, Jessica. Um, by one of the people who was on one of our panels. I can't remember what it was called now. But okay, what else? Which 90s sitcom couple do I prefer? Oh my gosh, Corey and Topanga or Ross and Rachel. Corey and Topanga were like goals when I was a teenager, guys. Like, definitely Corey and Topanga. I loved that show so much. That was fun. How do I divide up which of the 3 I'm reading? I mean, honestly, a lot of it just has to do with like my schedule. So audiobooks are the most versatile for me. I can listen to them while if my kids are doing something where they don't need me immediately, I can listen to a little bit of it. I listen to audiobooks when I'm going grocery shopping or like doing chores or like whatever. Like that's probably the most versatile thing that I can fit in bits and pieces here and there while I'm cooking. So that's kind of where my audiobook will fit in. Ebooks, it depends. Like I try to spend some time in the morning reading my ebook, like whatever e-arc I'm currently reading. If I can, I'll try to spend like 15 minutes or 20 minutes before I get out of bed reading it if I don't wake up super late, and then kind of fit it in again where I can. I find it easier to start and stop with audiobooks and ebooks than with physical books. I feel like with physical books these days, I really want to be able to have an extended time to read it, unless it's something that's like really easy to get through. If it's like a romance, I can kind of do that better. So physical books are when I have time to sit down and read for like 30 minutes to an hour in chunks. So that's kind of how it goes. Yeah. Hey, thank you. Yeah, I know I talked about this earlier in the live stream. Thanks. Yeah, I've always been a relatively fast reader, but I think a lot of it is just like it's gotten exponentially faster as I've implemented some of the tips that I talk about in that video I did recently. Yeah, any other questions? Any other specific book recommendations people are looking for? I'm trying to think like if there was anything else I wanted to talk about while we're on here. Oh, if you haven't entered yet on my latest book haul, there are 2 giveaways, and that is going to be open for like a few more days, I think. So go enter if you haven't yet. It is US only, so I'm sorry, those of you who are international. Yeah, I'm not the one mailing it out. Hi, Sophie, thank you so much. Happy birthday from Germany. Oh, that's great. That's so fun. Oh man, okay, so guys, look, my parents were very, very strict about what I watched growing up. So like, I have never seen Doogie Howser or Beverly Hills 90210. I've seen The Wonder Years a few times, but I mostly watched like PBS when I was a kid. And then when I was an adult, I watched like The X-Files and Buffy. Like I was in my 20s when I saw those for the first time. So my parents were like, nope, not happening. Good horror. It depends on what you like. So I think there's a lot of interesting things. I like smart horror that like has bigger thematic elements that it's dealing with. So like I love Sawkill Girls by Claire Legrand. I think that's a really good, very creepy, I think, YA horror that's very feminist and very like crush the patriarchy sort of message. And it's a little bit of a genre mashup too, which I also enjoy. Yeah, I don't know. Like I think I don't like straight up horror like the way people think of it. I like it when it's exploring interesting ideas. Like in terms of films, for example, I usually do not like horror movies, but Jordan Peele is a genius. So I loved Get Out and Us. And neither of them were actually as scary as they looked in the trailers, but they were creepy and really smart. And I love that. Like I like smart horror. I don't know if that's helpful, but That's kind of what works for me. But really everybody's different. What else? Like Cabin in the Woods by Paul Tremblay I really liked. I thought that was really interesting. But like one of my friends, Jade at Bedtime Bookworm, didn't like it because it has an open ending where it's up to interpretation what the ending means. And she doesn't really like that. But I like it. I think endings like that that is cool. Oh, do I like zombies and horror? Do I like my villains intelligent? So yeah, it's interesting. Like generally zombies are less my thing, but I love The Walking Dead. However, what I love about The Walking Dead is not the zombies. What I love about The Walking Dead is the relationships. Like it's very, very character driven, especially the first few seasons. And that's what's interesting to me. What's interesting to me is like the character relationships and the politics and the like, how do you survive in this new world? So I think that's interesting more than the zombies specifically, but I do like intelligent villains. I really, really like villains with interesting backstories and like anti-heroes. I find them more compelling than kind of plain ones. What else do we have? Do I think the historical romance was inspired by Jane Austen and the Brontes? I mean, I think they were definitely a key part of the beginning of it. I mean, they were for sure foundational to some of the romance genre, but in other ways, you know, romance has been around for a really, really long time. And, you know, they were key players at that point in history, but some of that has existed even before then. So yeah, romance gets a bad rap sometimes, but I think there's a lot good to it. How do I edit? Oh, no, don't worry about asking questions. Yeah, so this is about to change, which is very exciting. I edit on my computer. I use iMovie. And like, I think iMovie is really good. It's free if you have a Mac. You can also use it on an iPhone. And I don't prefer editing on my phone. I prefer, because you have more limited capabilities. The app version of it can't do quite as much as the desktop version, but I really like it. However, I'm very excited because I'm upgrading. I recently purchased a new desktop computer that is more powerful, can handle more powerful editing software. So I am, so I am going to be transitioning to Final Cut Pro, which is very exciting because I like editing. I don't feel like you have to have that, but it's fun for me. I really like editing and I kind of want to increase my skills and do some more like fancy stuff, but I think iMovie is good. Okay, what is this? Marshall and Lily, How I Met. So I like Jim and Pam. I haven't watched How I Met Your Mother. So I've seen like a couple episodes. Like I don't watch that much TV anymore. Like a lot of my TV watching was earlier. Okay, so it looks like we're getting close to an hour. Let me know if you guys have any final questions to ask. I think that was most of what I wanted to talk about. And we can hang out here for a couple more minutes, and then probably around the hour mark, I will pop off. But thank you so much to everybody too for coming and hanging out with me. This has been really fun. Birthday in quarantine is always a little interesting, but it's been good. We like, you know, had fun with kids and now they're outside and tomorrow's Mother's Day. So I think I'm going to pick up fancy donuts because we live in Manhattan. And so we can do that, which is fun. All right. 90s Christian romance author. Oh boy. Like, I don't know if I can recommend it. I can tell you what I used to like. I used to read a lot of Lori Wick. I don't know that I would necessarily recommend her because her like perspectives on gender are kind of misogynistic, but I used to read a lot of her stuff. Thank you, Lori. I appreciate that. Thank you. Writing reviews, you know, I think practice is a big part of it. And I would say if there are reviewers that you like, that you want to be like, look at their reviews and kind of dissect how they do it and like see if you can kind of pull that apart and figure this out. Thanks, Jillian. Thank you. Thanks for coming and hanging out with me. And here we go. Favorite snack during reading? I don't, you know what? Like I get like from Trader Joe's, I get these like coffee flavored hard candies and I'll have like a couple of those. I don't know, like, because they last a long time. Like, I mostly I just read, but like sometimes I like stuff like that. I actually like those when I'm editing too. It helps with focus for some reason. Thank you. Thanks. Mother's Day. All right. I think after this we'll take like one other question, maybe, if like anybody else has them. Favorite modern Disney animated movie? Ooh, man. I love the Frozen franchise. I think Frozen 1 and Frozen 2 are both awesome. I also really, really liked the, I can't think of it right now, the Rapunzel Tangled. I really liked Tangled too. So those are probably among my favorites. All right, so I think we're winding down here. Thank you so much to everybody for coming and hanging out. This was a lot of fun, and I hope you guys are having a good Saturday. Yeah, this was really fun. Thank you. I'll talk with you guys later. Bye.